Welcome to the classroom. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into what it means to think creatively as compared to routine thinking. Businesses need creative thinking to remain competitive. That is a given. Routine thinking, on the other hand, is required for many business processes. Logical responses are needed to solve routine problems. Routine problems in a business are a result of human error. For example, a supplier which is not paid on time, or stock which is not delivered on time. To solve these types of problems, the business must just check the policy, check why it was not implemented, and ensure that the necessary logical control processes are put in place so that it never happens again. Creative thinking is required to solve new problems which will arise because of an ever-changing business environment.
Critical thinking is all about asking questions. The right questions. Questions that help you assess both the meaning and the significance of claims and arguments. Building these skills and applying them in your life makes it easier for you to assess evidence, evaluate arguments, and adapt your thinking so you stay switched on and engaged in different situations. Critical thinking involves stepping back from a situation to enable you to see all the angles before making judgments or taking decisions. It means identifying the key points, analyzing the sources of information, weighing up different types of evidence, just as a judge and jury would do in a court of law, and putting it all together into your own independent, thought-through point of view. One thing that it's very important to realize is that critical thinking isn't about being critical. And it's about much more than just finding flaws in other people's claims. By itself, that isn't enough to give you an edge. To be a true critical thinker means being creative, reflective, and adaptable, evaluating the evidence to decide for yourself what is accurate, what is relevant, and do I have sufficient information to take a decision on this topic? Thinking critically means taking a stand for yourself. It can be difficult not to be swayed by close family or friends' views on things, or certain beliefs that just feel right. But learning how to use these higher-order thinking skills can help you to feel much more confident in your own opinions and conclusions. Critical thinking is also about a sense of discovery and excitement. Not only about learning, but evaluating arguments to see how they stand up, and filtering for yourself what resonates as right or wrong. By using these techniques, you'll find yourself becoming a clearer, better thinker. McCat. Learn better, think smarter, aim higher.
So some uses of creativity will include solving problems that cannot be solved with a routine response, seeking alternative solutions that might be quicker, simpler, or less expensive, finding and developing new opportunities, simplifying procedures that have become extremely complex, the need to cut costs, developing new values in products or services, and different ways of presenting things. Just keep in mind that creativity is not infinite. There can be problems when it comes to creativity, stuff like mental blocks. And many businesses and managers sometimes develop mental blocks as a result of only using routine thinking. New creative techniques can help them to overcome these mental blocks. Not only that, but lack of sleep will limit thought processes, and this combined with stress may limit creativity exactly when it is needed. Routine thinking or logical thinking is important when a decision is made about which idea to implement. But when the ideas are generated, logic may become overrated. If people thought about it logically, who knows if we would have had cell phones, the internet, Or what about putting little pieces of plastic in your eye to see better? These are contact lenses, by the way. Logic would probably have canned these ideas before they were mentioned. A mindset of this works well, why change it, will always stifle creativity and new ideas from being considered. And an attitude of I don't have the time to be creative may mean that you avoid making time to think of a better way of doing the job. Managers may also stop subordinates from being creative if they constantly send a message of I am your superior, and if it is not my idea, it probably is not a good idea. It happens. People that keep saying I am not creative create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Thus, if someone keeps saying it is not my job to be creative because I am an accountant or a cleaner or whatever it may be, they will probably never allow themselves to be creative. 1. The Delphi Technique. This technique is a popular method of gathering information by using a selected panel on a specific topic or target area. It seeks to bring about agreement from different views by means of questionnaires. So this is how it works. A panel consisting of people who have knowledge and experience in a particular subject area is selected. A questionnaire is drawn up which contains questions on the selected topic, and it is distributed to the panel. These responses that you will get from the panel are then summarized by the researcher and grouped according to similarity. From these responses, a second questionnaire is drawn up so that it will bring the responses in line with each other. The second questionnaire is distributed together with the summary of findings of the first questionnaire. The panel members can now see their previous responses and their motivation. They need to keep this in mind when responding to the second set of questions. This normally continues for 3 to 4 rounds until panel members are requested to motivate why they don't agree with the general consensus. So members will never at any single point in time know how the other members responded. The advantages of the Delphi technique are the anonymity which it provides. Nobody will ever know who said what. No chances of influencing one another exist. Feedback is controlled, and statistical methods are used to classify responses. Some of the disadvantages of the Delphi technique are that it is time consuming. There's a large degree of administrative work to it, and there is always going to be a poor response rate because people do not always trust themselves. Then there is the force field analysis. The force field analysis is a problem-solving and decision-making tool which helps the business to weigh up the pros and the cons against implementing a new idea or project. Because an analysis is undertaken of factors that support the current position versus the factors which support change, it helps management to understand and motivate the reasons behind the decisions which will then have to be made. The forces that will either promote change or hamper change are the resources of the business, people and their attitudes, values and needs, legislation and competitors. So there are steps in the force field analysis, and normally this is how it goes. Step 1, you need to define the problem. The business needs to look at who or what in the current situation has to change to help the business to reach its objectives. It is important that the business separates the problems from those elements that are working well. Step 2, you need to define the change objective. The business will have to define and describe the desired outcome or the goal that it will be working towards. This description has to be as specific as possible. Step 3, you need to identify the driving forces. Once the business knows what the goal is, it has to identify the factors which will support the change by stipulating what the strengths of these factors are and how change would add value to the business. It is important to place these forces on the force field diagram by labeling each arrow. It is also very important that the business assesses the interrelationships between the different driving forces. Step 4, identify the restraining forces. The factors which are resisting the change must now be considered. The business will plot these factors on the diagram in exactly the same way as you did with the driving forces, but obviously on the opposite side. Yet again, it is important to look at the interrelationship between these factors. And then step 5, you need to develop a change strategy. By this stage, there will be a visual representation of all the factors, both pushing and resisting change. Arrows will be close to the line if they are strong forces, and further away from the line if they are weak forces. This will give the business a clear indication of whether or not change is a good idea. If there are more forces pushing for change closer to the line than there are forces for resisting change, then the business will need to implement the strategies for change. The third creative thinking technique that we are going to take a look at is SCAMPER. Many businesses find it difficult to come up with new ideas when they are trying to develop and improve on a current product or service offering. SCAMPER will help a business to generate new ideas by encouraging a business to think about it and how they could go about improving an existing product or service offering. SCAMPER is obviously an acronym. So the S in SCAMPER will stand for substitute. And the questions which you need to ask yourself when it comes to this is, what materials can be substituted to improve the product? Which supplier can be substituted? Can a new market be created for this product? What other processes can be used? And what other uses could this product have? The C in SCAMPER then stands for combine. And some of the questions that you can ask yourself here are, what would happen if 2 or more features of the product or the service are combined? Can this product or service be combined with other products or services? Can different materials be combined when making this product? Which other resource can be combined when making this product or rendering this service? And then the A stands for adapt. How can this product or service be adapted to satisfy the same or a different need? How can the product or service be adapted to perform more reliably? Can the product be adapted to make it more environmentally friendly? Then the M stands for modify. And the questions that you can ask yourself here is, what can be changed to make it better? Color, shape, sound, size, form, or taste? And how can this product be made smaller or bigger or faster or even more fun, if you may? And then the P, it stands for put to a new use. How can the wastage be recycled to make something else? Can this product be used somewhere else? How else could this product be used? And then the E stands for eliminate or elaborate. What features should be added or taken away from this product? How will this affect the target market? And then the R at the very end stands for reverse. What would happen if we reversed or changed the order or service delivery? Can the sequence of production be rearranged? And what impact will a change in layout or the pattern have? A company which I believe used SCAMPER to come up with new or innovative products is Clover. I mean, look at this product offering. They now have mayonnaise, they have a bunch of different custards. There's so many products that they have come up with over the past couple of years that it is clear that they recently used SCAMPER to come up with new ways of selling what they currently had as a company. So after having listened to what I have had to say, perhaps you may feel like you are not the most creative of people. What can you do about this? Well, the good news is that creativity can be learned as long as you understand the concept of creativity. There are 4 pillars that make up creativity. The first of these pillars is fluency. This is the ability of producing many different ideas, brainstorming, if you may. The second pillar is flexibility. This is tantamount to looking at problems from many different points of view, or even taking other people's points of view into consideration, then making the necessary changes, whether small or big, as they may be required. The third pillar is originality. This refers to the ability of coming up with completely fresh and new ideas, which are completely different from what is currently out there. Is this possible? Then the fourth and the final pillar is elaboration. So you have brainstormed, or essentially you have used fluency, you have practiced flexibility, and you have come up with many original solutions. Or maybe you did none of the above. You are still allowed to use elaboration, where you add depth and detail to any idea which you may have or which somebody else may have come up with. This will help you to come up with new and different solutions. Take Taxify, or as they are now known as Bolt. They essentially took the idea of Uber and created their own thing. If you feel that you can't use any of the problem-solving techniques which I've spoken about, then another brilliant thing that you can do is work with other people. Working with other people may be beneficial to solving problems. The whole process becomes easier and faster. And some of the advantages of working in groups are, you will come up with many different ideas. You will always have something to learn from other people. And you can have open and honest discussions about many different topics. And synergy. Synergy is very important because it is the accumulated efforts of many different people who will produce better results. So, work with other people.
Thank you for joining us in this lesson. If you learned something, give the video a like, share, and subscribe for more great content.